So what we have here is repeated multiplication of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So repeated multiplication. And that's how we write this. 2 is the base. 2 is repeated 6 times. And the way we read it is 2 to the power of 6. And if you ever need to enter this into a calculator, a basic calculator, this is what you would do. 2 to the power of 6. So when you say 2 to the power of 6, it's 2 repeatedly multiplied with itself 6 times. Now, this should not be confused with 2 repeatedly added to itself 6 times. What if you have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2? This is repeated addition, not to be confused with repeated multiplication. So this would be 2 times 6. Just make sure you know the difference between the two. 2 to the power of 6 is much larger than 2 times 6, because here we are multiplying, which makes the number large, and here we are adding 2 repeatedly. 2 is called the base. The number that's repeatedly multiplied is the base. So in this case, if you have 2 to the 6, 2 is called the base, and the exponent or the power is 6. So this is called the power or the exponent. And 2 is called the base. So this is repeated multiplication of 2. Now how do we write this in the exponential form? This is problem number 2. So we have 3 repeatedly multiplied with itself 4 times. So it's 3, the base, repeatedly multiplied with itself. So it's 3 to the power of 4 times 2 repeatedly multiplied with itself 5 times. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 2 to the power of 5. And usually if we write a number in the exponential form, we write the smaller number first times 3 to the 4th power. And notice that 2 and 3 are called prime numbers. Now, the next problem, it says first write the given exponential expression as a repeated product and then evaluate, which means calculate, the expression. 4 to the 3rd power, 4 raised to the power of 3. 4 is the base and it's repeatedly multiplied with itself. It's repeated multiplication of 4 3 times. This number, which is called the exponent, tells you how many times you repeatedly multiply 4. So that's 4 times 4 is 16. And 16 times 4 is 64. Let's see, 6 4s are 24. Carry the 2 over, 4 1s are 4. Plus 2 is 6, so that's 64. 10 repeatedly multiplied with itself, and the exponent is 4. 10 is the base, so you're repeatedly multiplying 10 4 times. So 10 to the 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 is 1 followed by 4 zeros, which is 10,000. So we have to know the difference between squaring a number and taking the square root of a number. So if I go 9 times 9, this is 9 squared. 9 squared is 81. 9 times 9 is 81. 2 squared is 2 times 2, and that is equal to 4. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. 4 squared is 4 times 4, and that's 16. 5 squared, and that is 5 times 5, and that is 25. 6 squared. Make sure you memorize these squares. So 6 times 6 is 36. So when you see a 36, you have to recognize that it's a square of a whole number. And in this case, it's a 6. 6 times 6 is 36. When you see a 4, you have to remember that it is a square because 2 times 2 is a 4. It's 2 squared. 7 squared is 7 times 7, and that is 49. So 49 is called a square. It's a square of 7. 8 squared, so that's 8 times 8. That's equal to 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100. 11 squared is 11 times 11, which is 121. And 12 squared is 12 times 12, which is 144. So these are squares. A square of a number is a number raised to the power of 2. So if I say 3 squared, right away you need to know that it is 3 to the power of 2, which is 3 times 3. So that is squaring a number. And make sure you recognize squares of numbers. So if you see a 4, you have to recognize that it's a 2 squared. If you see a 49, for example, you have to recognize that it's 7 times 7. These squares are important numbers, and you'll see this again in your algebra class. Now, what is the square root of a number? So, and this is called the radical sign. Square root of 81 is, and if you recognize that 81 is a perfect square or a square, and we can write it as 9 times 9, which is 9 squared. This is the relationship between the radical sign and the exponent. They cancel each other out. And if you say, what is the square root? We're only talking about the positive number, and that is equal to 9. Now, if you think about it, negative 9 times negative 9 is also positive 81, because the two negative cancel each other out and you get a positive. So you can think of 81 as negative 9 whole squared as well. And if I say what's the square root of 81, technically it's a plus or a minus. In this case, do you see that it's a minus 9 as well? But if I say what's radical 81, you're being asked to find the positive square root of 81, which is 9. So positive square root of 81 is 9, because 9 squared equals 81. 121. Notice that when you see a 121, look at the list of squares, it's 11 squared. So positive square root of 11 times 11, which is 11 squared, is equal to 11, because the square of 11 is 121. So what if I say, give me the positive square root of 36? You have to think about 36. Is it a square? Look at the list of squares here. You can see that 36 is a square, and it is 6 squared, and that's equal to, remember these two cancel each other out and you get a 6, because 6 squared is 36. The square root of 36 is 6. Now let's look at square root of 16. Look at the list of squares. 16 is 4 squared. Square root of 4 squared. Remember, these two cancel each other out and you get a 4. Square root of positive square root of 16 is a 4 because 4 squared is 16.